So we want to solve some SAT practice questions. Now one of them is this one, really good question, a word problem question. I want to talk about it, I want to solve it and give you some strategies for solving such questions, okay? Now first we're going to start up with, where's my mouse? Okay, we're first going to start up with this question, reading it, understanding it, and then move to solve it, okay? Now, Corinne drives to her office at an average speed of 50 miles per hour. When she returns home by the same road, take a look, by the same road, so same distances, the traffic is louder and she averaged 60 miles per hour. Now, here you have to understand what really is important. First of everything, it says same road, so same distances, right? Okay, just different speeds, okay? So Corinne drives to her office at an average speed of 50 miles per hour. When she returns home by the same road, the traffic is louder and she averages 60 miles per hour, okay? Now that's great. If her trip home is 10 minutes shorter than her trip office, what is the distance in miles from Corinne's home to her office, okay? Now it's asking about the distance, which is same for both speeds, because it doesn't matter, the distance is the same, okay? Now, of course, if you go faster, you will arrive earlier, and that's why when she moves in 60 miles per hour to her home, she actually do it in 10 minutes earlier than to the office one. So let's understand the question. Let's say if this is the home, this is the office, okay? Home to office was 50 miles per hour, the speed. Okay, now the question asks the distance, this distance. The question asks this distance, so it's really important, okay? Now, the other one is 60 miles per hour from office to home, and the question actually is asking for the distance that we go or come, because the distance are the same, so no matter. Now, if you go in 60 miles per hour faster than the first one, then you of course arrive earlier. So you arrive 10 minutes earlier, right? And that's a really good thing, because you will use this and you will find a distance using this 10 minutes thing. But this 10 minutes is just kind of tricky. I will show you why, okay? Now, this is the first thing that you have to do in such word problems. Just, maybe draw a diagram for yourself. You don't have the time for this, but, while you are starting like a beginner, do those kind of things, and then you will just, do it in your mind. You will have this drawings in your mind, and you will do everything. So now the first thing that I actually suggest you guys is do such a thing and understand the question, understand what the question is asking actually for. Now here the question is asking for this distance. The question gives me 50 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour, and 10 minutes earlier office to home, okay? Now the next thing that I want to tell you guys is write the question in algebraic form. This is really important, because if you write the question in algebraic form, then really simple, okay? Now the key here is to actually know what the distance means, okay? Now 50 miles per hour, okay? 50 miles per hour in such amount of time, right? So you are moving in a 50 miles per hour at distance. Let's call this distance D. This distance you are moving in 50 miles per hour, okay? And we don't know the time, at what time it took you to arrive this match, okay? What time took you to go from home to office? We don't know that time, so that's a problem for us, but we still can find it. We know that actually we don't know the time here too, but we know one thing, that office to home is 10 minutes earlier than home to office. We know this, okay? So translating this into algebraic form would be really simple. Just take a look. We would say 50, or let's say 60 times the time, the t, okay, would give me the distance, right? But I don't know the t, that's the problem. So what we will do is, we will say to office is gonna be the distance, this is the distance, the distance from home to office or office to home, doesn't matter, okay? Is the distance from home to office or office to home is 50 times t represents the time. Don't forget, t represents the time that it took you to go home to office or office to home, okay? Actually, this t is in hours. Don't forget that. This t should be in hours, actually. Because why? Because take a look. Here we say 50 miles per hour. the question asks in hours, so we should give the answer in hour. We could actually, you know, we could change to seconds, but we don't want to. Doesn't matter. The question needs the distance, doesn't need anything else. So what we do is, over here we say the distance equals to 50 miles per hour times the t, but the t here is a problem. We have plus 1/6. Now what is this 1/6? Now the actual thing should be 50 times the t, the time, and you give the distance, you get the distance, okay? But because here we have 10 minutes earlier and nothing else, no time given, we don't know what time takes you from home to office, we should do something. We should say, here from home to office, we have a plus 1/6 hours later. Right? You get it? Take a look. If you go here, if you go like 10 minutes or 20 minutes here, if you arrive like here, office to home 20 minutes, then home to office you should arrive in 30 minutes, right? Because we know that here 10 minutes are earlier. So what we did here, we simply said 50 times t plus 1/6. If we have like the t in 30 minutes, we have actually 40 minutes, right? And you may ask, okay, why then 1/6, not the 10? Because we are writing this in hours, not in minutes. We could say 10 minutes, but we have the 50 miles per hour, not in minutes, okay? So we could do either of those two things. We could convert this one into miles per minute, or we should convert this 10 minutes into hours. And 10 minutes is the same thing as 1/6 hours, right? You get it? Okay, so this is to the office. To home, simple. Just the 60. You can actually do the different thing. You can say 60 times t minus 1/6. Long story, leave it. Okay, now to home, from office to home, you have the same thing. It's 60 miles per hour. 10 minutes earlier, so we don't need to write minus 10 because we have the plus 1/6 over here. Now we have two equations, two unknowns. The number of unknowns equal to the number equations. Then we could simplify both of the unknowns. Now the easiest way here is substitution. We have d equals to 60t, so we can substitute this d for 60t. We get 50 times t plus 1/6 equals 60t. Using some little algebra, we can find it. So let's use this algebra. Yeah, we distribute this 50. We get 50 times t, we get 50t. 50 times 1/6, 50/6 equals 60t. Then, moving to this page, 50t plus 50/6 equals 60t. We have the same thing. We get rid of this 50, we get rid of this 50t. We subtract 50t from both sides. We get 10t. Then, multiplying by 1/10 or dividing 1/10 from both sides, we get 5/6 equals the t. This is the time, 5/6 hours. Don't forget, not minutes, 5/6 hours, because the question actually asks in hours, okay? And you would not convert. You would not convert because you don't need to, right? So, okay. Now, time is 5/6. Hours. Now we are going to solve for the d because the actual question asks for the distance, right? We have the t. Now we simply have the t. So we could substitute this t in the first equation and get the d, right? I mean, we have d equals to 60t, but here we have 60 times 5/6, we get the d, right? Right? We can use the other equation, which says 50 times t plus 1/6. We can plug this t 5/6 plus 1/6, and we get the answer in d, in miles actually. But we don't need to. This is simpler. We just say 60 times 5/6, right? And we go for it. Yeah, we write it. We say 60 times 5/6. We get 50 miles. The distance from home to office, office to home, doesn't matter. The distance is 50 miles. Now, you may say, okay, where do we know that this is in miles? Because we have been solving the whole question in miles. Take a look. Take a look. Take a look. The question asks 50 miles per hour, we plug 50 miles per hour. Then the question asks 60 miles per hour, we plug 60 miles per hour. So if you solve in miles, you get miles. Solve hours, you get hours. And that's the answer. We have simply solved the question. D equals to 60 times 5 over 6. Now what I really want to talk about in this word problems is, first, understand the question. Draw something in your mind, say that this happened, and this happened, and then just one thing is left for you. Translate the equation. If you can do those two things, I think it's super simple. You can solve it simply, okay? So just translation and understanding the question will help you to actually solve these questions.